love to teach you how to make clam chowder using farm fresh potatoes, carrots, celery, onion, of course some clams. Now, right now I can't go and harvest the clams myself from the sand, so today I'm using canned clams, but oftentimes a community member will go out clamming and come back with fresh clams and we will use those. But today I'm just going to use canned clams because we really can't go anywhere right now. How are y'all holding up during this COVID-19 thing? Are you doing okay? Because it's been rough. But you know what? The more you make healthy food for your family, the better you will feel. This recipe is kind of a combination of recipes. My dad had a really good friend who was a chef back when I was a kid, and he made the most amazing clam chowder. Now, I don't like my clam chowder to be super fishy. I kind of like it on the potato chowder type side of things. Then when I moved to Hawaii, a friend of ours that helped me build my house over there taught me a little bit more about making her version of clam chowder. So I kind of combined the two to make my own clam chowder recipe. So what you're going to need today is some milk. I've combined my cow milk with my goat milk here. You can use any milk you have on hand. Salt and pepper, celery, onions, potatoes, carrots, some flour, some butter, 1 stick of butter. I'm using dill weed. Fresh dill is better, but our dill hasn't grown in yet, so I'm using dried dill. Clam juice reserved from your can of clams or from chopping up your clams, and your clams. So today I'm going to show you how to make a recipe not using specific ingredient amounts. And that's because I rarely use measuring cups. And sometimes it's nicer because you're washing less dishes when you do that. So, right here what you see is equal amounts of celery, onion, and carrots. About twice as much potatoes as everything else. And I don't know, about a little bit less than everything else in clams. Your clam broth, you know, a glass or so full, maybe a little bit less depending on what you have. It's okay. A stick of butter, I've cut off some of it because I needed to use it. It's okay, it doesn't have to be a full stick of butter. And I just put, I don't know, maybe about a ½ cup, maybe a 1/4 cup of flour will work for you depending on how thick you like to have your soup. So let's get started. First I'm going to take the butter, unwrap it from the wrapper, and just plunk the whole thing in my pot because butter is what makes it better. My butter is melted, so I'm going to start with my onions. And the onions, that's about 1½ onions. Again, you can do less if you have a smaller family, but I cook for 11 or more people at a time, so I like to make big batches. Also, during this time, you're cooking a lot. You're not going out a whole lot, I'm sure. So a bigger batch is great because you can keep it in your fridge, heat it up. It is so good as leftovers. So I encourage you to make a bigger batch so you don't have to cook as often. So you're going to make those onions nice and cooked through. They smell so good until they're a little translucent. Now my onions are nice and cooked. I'm going to go ahead and add my carrots and my celery. And I'm going to stir those for about 5 minutes or so, maybe a little less, I don't know, depending on how you feel. And then I'm going to add my potatoes. I'm going to go ahead and add a little salt and pepper at this point. You're going to want to add salt and pepper to taste. So right now you have your butter, your onions, your carrots, your celery, and your potatoes in your pot. Let them cook for about 3 to 5 minutes or so. Then you're going to take your clam broth and you're going to add that to your clam chowder. And then you're going to add water to cover the vegetables. Here we go. So I'm going to let that get up to boiling. I'm going to put the lid on it. Let it cook. Once it's boiled, check those potatoes. If you can stab them with the fork, just started with the next step. All right, my vegetables are about tender, so this is a great point at which you can add the clams so that they can cook a little bit. Mine are canned, so they're already cooked, but if you had fresh clams, this would be a good time to add them and let them cook a little longer. While those are heating up, I'm going to go ahead and make my roux. So here I have the flour and the milk. And you don't want to get clumps of flour in your soup. So the best way to prevent that is to pour some milk into your flour separately here. And this is how we're going to make our clam chowder creamy. Creamy. And that looks about right. So now's a good time to add your flour and milk mixture that you've whisked together to your soup. And it's going to start thickening right away. Keep it on medium to high heat to start thickening up that soup. I'm also going to add some sprinkles of dill. I like a little dill flavor in my clam chowder. And I would say that's probably about a teaspoonful. But again, it depends on your taste. When it starts looking really thick, that's when I'm going to add my milk. If you like a little smoky flavor in your clam chowder, I like to add a little smoked paprika tonight. My soup has thickened up, so I'm going to go ahead and add more milk. I like it nice and creamy. I'm going to add all that milk. All right, at this point, your soup should be about ready. You're probably going to want to add more salt. That needs more salt and more pepper. So just keep adding your salt and pepper until it is the way you like it. And if you want a non-vegetarian-ish version of this, you can add chicken broth instead of water. It makes it a little bit richer. And that tastes pretty delicious. So, thank you for joining us again on Home Emmanomics. Have a great one, and I hope you're all doing okay during this coronavirus adventure. Have a good one.